Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm JP Tong, and welcome to today's program, Detox Your Mind. I hope everyone had a good week. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that I feel it's a very powerful topic, and something that will allow us to go to understand our mind on a much deeper level, on a much deeper level. And this is something that not many people would like to explore because of, there are certain parts of our mind that we feel not comfortable addressing, as it always hits a raw nerve. But the thing is this: we have to realize this. If we do not take baby steps to understand and even try to understand even these aspects of the mind that are that are very sensitive to us, it will just eat into us, and it will cloud the way we perceive um, people, the way we perceive reality, and so on and so forth. So no matter how difficult it is, which I'm sure it will be for many of you, take baby steps. Take baby steps to slowly peel. As they always say, our mind is like an onion. You just peel it layer by layer. Okay, you do it in your own uh, speed, whatever is comfortable for you. But what has to be consistent is that you peel it layer by layer. And when we do that slowly, you'll be able to gain more clarity of yourself and your life. Okay, so today's topic is about forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself. A lot of people whom I talk to don't realize that a lot of their unhappiness or dislikes and situations or people who would actually trigger a raw nerve and so on and so forth is because many times there are it's because they do there's a certain part of them that they just cannot forgive. Okay, and some of you may say, really, that's a very strong word. Yes, it is. It is a very strong word. All right, and you may think that it is always somebody else's fault, and that's why last Saturday I spoke about forgiving others. You see, but ultimately, if we find it very difficult to forgive others, regardless of what they have done, regardless, it is also a reflection. Okay, it is also a reflection of certain aspects of themselves that they may not even be aware of, that they've not forgiven themselves for. There's certain parts of them, and I will explain deeper later on. And there are certain things that other people have done to them, and which is very very traumatic, and it is something that is almost is well, to some people, impossible to forgive. But the thing is, if we do not forgive, at least if we do not forgive the person, at least forgive the situation. Because you see, forgiving doesn't mean that you actually are okay with what you've done. Forgiving means you've actually let go. Whatever traumatic experience you've let go of that. And that's what forgiving it's all about. So why do I say that it's a reflection of ourselves not forgiving ourselves? Sorry, aspects of our mind that we do not forgive. And a lot of times it is triggered. Now, I'm just going to give a few examples. A few examples. There are a lot more, of course, but these are a few examples that will actually get you going to look deeper into your mind and see what else is there that you are not okay with. Okay, so what are the common areas that we find ourselves very difficult to forgive? One is appearance. There's always, I mean, we are the harshest critics. Okay, we're the harshest critics when it comes to ourselves, and we always look in the mirror, or we always compare with others. Or I'm not tall enough, I'm not short enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not, muscular enough, I'm not good looking enough. It's always that not enough, and it's a result of perhaps you comparing yourself with other people, or looking at magazines, or looking at the movies, and you say, oh well, that's how people think, that's a definition of beauty, and so on and so forth. Now we have to realize this: the concept of beauty actually varies from culture to culture. So if you've been traveling, or if you have watched enough documentaries, you will notice this. You will notice that in certain cultures, um, what's beautiful in that culture may not be beautiful in this other culture, and vice versa. So it's very subjective, very, very subjective. So it's because we are so unhappy with the way we look. There's always a flaw somewhere, either on our face or on our body. There's always something that we're not happy with. And although we say, well, it's okay, but somehow it eats into us, and it makes us very insecure on one level or another. Okay, there's something to contemplate on and see. And, let's not brush it aside, because these are issues that we don't think is a big deal. But you think about it, it is actually, to many people, a big deal. And that is why we have all these insecurities. Okay, that is why we put in so much effort to make ourselves look better. Okay, I'm not saying everyone, I'm just giving you examples. Okay, how we're always looking in the mirror, improving how we look in public, improving. Okay, so we check our mind. Some do it because, well, it's part of a job. They have to go in front of a camera, or they are doing sales. They have to look presentable. So again, I'm not saying everyone, but it really depends. So you have to check your mind. Okay, so when I explain the different reasons, it is not a blanket reason. It is just one of the many, many reasons. Okay, but these are the common reasons why people spend so much time on the appearance. All right, so check on whether or not you're okay with your appearance, your physical appearance. Okay, and other aspects is perhaps some people don't feel that they are smart enough. Okay, I guess because at school, they always compare themselves with other of their friends who score higher marks, and no matter how much hard work that they study, that somehow they are not the top tier, and again, it kind of eats into them that well, it's okay. It's okay, I guess, if I'm not as smart as them. And no matter how I try, I'm not as smart. So that leaves an imprint in the mind that they are not smart enough. So, so what is that? So what's that all about? It's about not being good enough. So in general, it's about not being good enough. Okay, so either we're not smart enough, we're not good looking enough, we're not resourceful enough, we don't cook well enough, we don't garden enough, we don't earn enough money compared to our friends. So it's about not good enough with regards to something, and we allow that to actually affect us, whether we realize it or not. That's something we need to check. But based on the people whom I have met all these years, it boils down to that. It's that insecurity that arise from usually when you were growing up. Okay, so whatever happened when you're growing up, it would actually repeat itself. You will actually replay that scene in different situations over and over again. Okay, so if you are always put down by other people saying that you're not smart enough when you're in school, somehow you will gravitate towards situations in your company or you be with friends who will send you that message directly or indirectly that you're not good enough. And somehow you gravitate towards that, although you don't like it. And that's how the mind works. We gravitate towards our comfort zone, towards familiarity. Whether we like it or not, somehow we will gravitate towards that. And that is why when we practice mindfulness, that's where we can put a stop to it and we change. So we take conscious effort, we make the conscious effort to not gravitate towards something that, although we may be familiar with, but it's not healthy for us. So that's why mindfulness is very, very powerful here and very, very potent. Okay? So again, being not being good enough. So that's something that we need to check in with ourselves. All right, and other things that we may not forgive ourselves is perhaps a choice that we made in life and that we really really regret, and whatever these choices may be, and we kick ourselves so hard that a lot of times some people cannot forgive themselves. Oh, I should have done that, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that, and so on and so forth. So take the time to contemplate and see for yourself what aspects of your life or of yourself you cannot forgive. You cannot forgive. Okay? And I'll walk you through how you can actually overcome it shortly. All right? So do we have any questions so far? Hi Cochran, thanks for joining. Hi Agnes. Hi Kamala. Jesse, hi Lily, Kirsten, Nancy, good evening, Peg. And there's a Chinese name here, which I cannot read Chinese, but thank you for joining. Sharon, hello, and Kelvin Jerry, thank you very much for joining. And for the rest of you, I don't see your name, but thank you very much for joining. Okay, so do ask me any questions if you have, and even after this live stream, you do have any questions, you can always leave a comment there, and I will reply them later on. Okay, so hi, Cat Steven. Okay, so now why is it important to forgive ourselves? You see, a lot of times we may think, oh, you see, you make me upset, that makes me upset. Or you have certain characteristics of people or situations that really irritates you to a point that you just stay away from it. All right. So a lot of and you just can't and you just do not want to deal with it. Now, I will name you a few things that will manifest from us not forgiving ourselves. Okay, it will further develop and snowball into these possible issues. Okay, lack of a better word. Now, the one thing is people who do not forgive themselves tend to have a concept of themselves, and it becomes self-fulfilling. So if the person says, for example, oh, okay, I feel like I'm a failure. Whatever I do, I don't succeed. Anyway, since school days, I've never had good grades, and even at work, they always put me down, and so on and so forth. So instead of trying to get out of this by putting in more effort, they actually believe deep down that they are not smart enough and they're not good enough. So instead of trying, they just surrender to it, and they just surrender to it and fulfill that prophecy. That's why it's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. So there are some people who are like that. They just don't want to try anymore because deep down, they actually convince themselves that they are such. Okay, so that's something to check. Does this fit into your aspect of your mind? All right. Number two, there are a lot of things in life that we know that we need and that is very important for us. For example, health. Oh, we need to eat right, we need to do some exercise, and so on and so forth. And how many times do we procrastinate on that? Later on, oh, I don't feel like it. I want to have that snack or whatever it is that is not as healthy, and you just surrender to your habit and to your craving, knowing full well that there should be some sort of discipline because of your health reasons. But you procrastinate. So that's just one example. So whatever that truly matters to you, and you tell yourself this is very important, very, very important for me, but I always procrastinate. Right? Sound familiar to some of you? Well, then there's something that we need to go deeper inside. The question is, if that thing is so important, why do we keep procrastinating? Are we not good enough? Are we not good enough? So you ask yourself, am I not good enough? Do I not deserve it? Am I not good enough? Do I not deserve it? So that's a question to ask. Because if we want something bad enough, because why? Because we feel that we deserve it. Okay? That we deserve it, then then we will definitely go for it. No matter how difficult it is, we will. So because of the fact that we procrastinate, although intellectually we may know that, yeah, it's good, but I don't feel like it, so later. It's because most likely, okay, I'm not saying all, but most likely it's because there's some part of you that you do not like, but you cannot forgive. So you surrender to it. You surrender to it because you believe that you are not good enough. Okay, not good enough is very general. So you have to find out what part of you do you actually believe that you're not good enough, and hence you do not forgive yourself for that. Okay, not forgiving means not accepting, not embracing it. That is not forgiving. So, okay, so some of you may be wondering, so if I'm not good looking enough, why is it that I don't forgive? So what it refers to not fully accepting, not fully accepting. All right. Now, another one is there are some people who really don't like themselves to a point that they actually punish themselves. Okay, subconsciously. They punish themselves subconsciously. Okay, and it is some sort of a self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. So do you know people like that? Or do you find yourself doing that? That when things are going so well, somehow you will just mess it up somehow. Okay, and you always come up with reasons why you should make it better, why it's still not good enough, and then because you overdo it, you mess it up, and then you go, you see, I am a loser. You see, that's why whatever I do, I'm not going to succeed. So a lot of people actually do that without even realizing it until somebody points it out to them. Okay, and I have friends who actually have this habit of self-sabotaging because they have a very deep-seated issue about them that they're not happy with, and no matter how I highlight to them, they kind of sweep it away because, well, I feel that it's because there's something deep inside that they just cannot forgive, they cannot accept, they cannot forgive about themselves. And I do understand it takes time, so that's why we have to think about it on a daily basis. Okay, and I will share with you what we can do. Other things like there are things in our lives that we know it's not okay, but we tolerate it. We tolerate it. We know that we can resolve it, but we just, well, it's okay. We'll tolerate it. Okay, why? It's because, again, because you think that you are not good enough. That's why it's okay. Since I'm not good enough, why do I even demand anything better for me? Because I really don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. So you see, it can manifest into these things, and then you tell yourself, I'm just practicing to be more spiritual, to be more zen. So yeah, back to the basics, and so on and so forth. That's how people cover. So you have to check the mind yourself, and ask yourself, because if you truly are practicing some sort of spirituality and you just want to go back to the basics, then there are other signs that you will see that you're actually making a conscious effort to do that for whatever path it is that you are practicing, and you will notice that there are not that you won't have all these insecurities arising when you're doing it. Okay, so there are also ways to check whether or not what you think is the root cause is actually the root cause. Okay, so there are ways to check on that. And other common manifestations can be anger issues. So if you're a person whereby you can easily be triggered, your anger can easily be triggered in the form of irritation, or for some of you, a silent rage. You just, it's boiling inside, and you just keep it, and you just hold on to it. Okay, as long as, so either it is a passive rage or a more aggressive rage, either again, that's because there are unresolved issues about you, about yourself. Okay, and it has snowballed to these anger issues. Okay, others will be like depression, anxiety, and, well, very common, substance abuse. You can go into drugs and alcohol. Okay, because drugs and alcohol are substances where you feel high. So it is a form of an escape. Since life being sober is very, not is very, what do you call it, depressing, unmotivating, a lot of things you're just not happy with when you're sober. So you need a form of an escape, and that's what substance abuse a lot of times is about. Okay, in general. Okay, I'm not saying all. I'm just saying in general. All right. So that's where you find a form of escape. So again, it it is a manifestation of your deep-seated unhappiness that you're just not willing to let go and to forgive yourself. Okay, there is a question here from Sharon. Because we're humans who are full of delusions and these delusions can cloud our mind, how can we check our mind honestly? Well, Sharon, that's where we do mindfulness training. Okay, that's where we do mindfulness training, where you calm your mind and your body. You can lay on the sofa, you can just sit on the chair, and just calm yourself. Calm yourself, calm your mind. One of the easiest way is to focus on your breath. And once your mind is calm, that's where you can zoom in to parts of yourself, aspects of yourself that you find that you cannot forgive, you cannot accept, you cannot let go. Okay? And that is why I have this workshop after this talk. So the talk ends at 9:30, and at 9:45 we resume in a closed environment, where I'll actually walk you through, and I'll actually explain step by step. I'll guide you on understanding. I'll give you tools so that you can actually go into your mind and look at it very objectively as you can. And then from there, you can actually use the same skill or tool to examine different parts of your mind. Okay, so that's how you do it. Well, some become obsessive, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So these are more severe manifestations of not being able to let go. So the very common ones would be, you're obsessively cleaning. You just can't help it. So people who suffer from OCD, it's a habit where you just cannot control yourself and you just have to keep cleaning and cleaning. Or some people, they have uh, uh, bodily actions like twitching or doing something with your body, and they just cannot stop it. There are many types of OCD, so that's something to again check in. So if you have a certain habit that you just cannot stop, that's a sign of OCD. Okay, if you're not sure, just whether or not you fit into that, you can actually Google OCD, and there are many examples where you can find out whether or not you actually are partially that or full on OCD. Okay, and another common manifestation is that you are in denial. No matter what people tell you about what's happening in front of you, you just choose to deny. Because why? Because there's certain parts of you that you cannot forgive yourself. And it all boils down to either not good enough or you've done something so bad, okay, that you just cannot forgive yourself. So one way is to punish yourself. So being in denial is actually a way of escaping and not dealing with it, and let that situation or whatever the person is that is not healthy for you punish you. Because why? Because you feel that you have done something so wrong. Either you've done something that's so wrong that you cannot be forgiven, or you feel that you're not good enough one way or another, and it's so strong in you that you feel it's okay for you to experience hardship, for you to experience suffering of any kind, Okay, so people go into relationships where they know it's not working. It's a one-sided relationship. It's not healthy. Your friends keep talking to you, and you just can't help it. And it's like you have this addiction to be in a relationship that doesn't work, but you just can't help it. Because why? It's not like you're desperate. You may look desperate, but because deep down inside, you feel that you're not good enough. So you're just going to grab whatever you can to fulfill that unhappiness in you, because you have not learned to forgive yourself. Okay, so what can you do? That's the question. And the list goes on, by the way. So I'm just quoting you some of the manifestations of not forgiving yourself. Okay? So not forgiving yourself is actually a very deeper level in your mind. And it manifests into all these different aspects that you think are the root issues, but actually it's most likely, not 100%, most likely because there's something about you that you just cannot forgive. Okay, so how do we learn to forgive to forgive yourselves? Okay, so number one is, first of all, you have to identify what parts of yourself you're not happy with that you cannot let go. So you list it down. List it down and just keep it in private, so that you can consciously look at it and then ask yourself, okay. So once you look at it, then you ask yourself, why is it that you're not happy with it? And why do you find it so difficult to let go and accept? Let go and accept. Why is it so difficult? Okay, so when you keep questioning yourself, and then what? So okay, so if I don't look good enough, then perhaps I won't be able to get a partner. Okay, and then what? Then I'm afraid I'm going to be lonely. Okay, and then what? So you just keep going, and then what? And then what? So what is this? So basically, you're trying to find out what is the worst scenario. What is that thing that you're most fearful about? and you just keep going down until you cannot answer anymore. And that will be your root issue. And it always leads back, and it most of the time it'll lead back to some part of you that you just cannot forgive and you just cannot let go. Okay, so it's something to look into. um, if you have done something that cannot be forgiven because it was so traumatic to others, you hurt someone so badly, maybe because when you were younger you were more selfish, you were not as mindful, and you just hurt somebody really badly, or somebody hurt you very badly and you think that because it's your fault. Oh yes, there are many people who went through abusive relationships with their family or someone. Either it's a physical abuse or a mental abuse, and somehow, in order to make sense, to regulate, to make sense of why is it that so much suffering was inflicted on them, they actually convince themselves it's because they are at fault. And a lot of times they go through a lot of therapy to actually heal and get over it. Okay, so they cycle themselves in order to find some sense, because the person in their mind, who in their mind is very nice. So for them to inflict suffering on them, it must be their fault. Okay, but actually it's not. So because of that, they find it very difficult to forgive themselves. Okay, now, regardless of what hardship it is that we have all gone through, it is time to change that perception, to actually have a different relationship with our experience and turn that relationship into something that's more empowering. So what have I learned from this suffering? What have I learned from whatever it is that I'm not okay with, that I cannot forgive myself with? What have I learned from it? And use that to empower you to become a stronger person. To become a stronger person. What you see, no one is perfect. No one is perfect. But see, that's the beauty of nature. Because why? Perfection is boring. Perfection is boring, right? So that's nature. You may think that, oh, this because you're not good enough, because whatever it is, that's how the mind works. I think it's time to actually move forward, move out of that space of negativity, and move into a space that is more empowering, more positive, and that takes focus. So what will actually help you do that? Gratitude. I always go back to gratitude, because when we practice gratitude, all these little psychosis will melt away. Because why? If you are so grateful that you're even alive, if you're so grateful that you can even watch me um, on your phone or whatever medium it is that you're watching, it means that you have electricity, you have internet, okay, you have water, you have a roof over you. Do you know how many people in the world do not have what we have? So that's why gratitude allows us to focus on the abundance that we are surrounded with, and make us realize how blessed we are. How blessed we are. And because of that, we will cherish every moment. So we actually train our mind to focus on the more positive aspects of our lives. And that's so much to be grateful for, so much. But yet, we always choose to delay that by telling ourselves, things would be better if I had this or that, or I'd be happier if I had this or I had that. Okay? And that's how we have Well, that's how we've been operating. That's just a habit. So habits can be changed. That's the good news. So that's why when we have a gratitude journal, you just write down fresh air. My goodness, have you been to certain parts of the world where fresh air is an issue? It is an issue. Even fresh water, certain parts of the world, it is an issue. It's very difficult to get clean, fresh water. For example, even electricity is very, very difficult. So even basic things like this, we take it for granted because, well, I guess many times we're not mindful. We're not mindful. So do practice gratitude, and all this not forgiving yourself will slowly melt away. Slowly melt away. Okay? I'm just giving you a broad overview of what you can do. Of course, there's a lot more things that you can do, but practicing gratitude will be one of the most effective ways for you to train yourself to focus on again what you're blessed with, and less of uh, the negative, your perceived negativity in your life. Your perceived. Okay, so I think time is up, and I've actually spoken more than 30 minutes. So before I end today's program, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Today's sponsor is KJ Dedication. May all be strong in physical and mental health to pull through current pandemic. May all obstacles be removed. And it's KJ again, Dedication. May all benefit from this program and be able to make peace with oneself to achieve higher self-learning and better self-understanding. And the last sponsor is Anonymous Dedication, dedicated towards all beings' liberation from suffering and attainment of compassion, wisdom, and true happiness. Thank you so much. Once again, if you like the programs that we have online for you all from Kechara, do make a contribution, because a contribution will help us sustain our online programs for all of you. And last but not least, do share on your own Facebook page the program, because you never know anyone who's following you on Facebook would actually benefit from this program, just like you have. All right, so please do that and share. And again, if you only watch this program after the live stream, it's still okay to ask me questions. Just write on the comment section, and I'll answer you once I see it. Okay, so on that note, take care, and I'll see you next Saturday, same time. Bye-bye.